We're here at Adam Handling's Frog restaurant in Covent Garden for our latest Innovation Day, this time with Reynolds. Today we'll be focusing on vegan cooking, looking at the huge rise of plant-based dishes on menus. Less than half of Gen Z, that's 18 to 21-year-olds, describe themselves as meat eaters. That means that plant-based eating is going to remain a major trend. Reynolds research shows that 98% of customers believe they will either maintain or increase the amount of plant-based dishes they have in the next year. Restaurants face a huge challenge to make menus more accessible for younger people. I just want to say thanks very much for coming. We've got some great people around the table, so really exciting.
We're going to start with a vegan macaroon dish. Use a product called potato protein to substitute egg whites. So there we've got our fake meringue. With a classic macaroon, you'd have to allow them to sit at room temperature to create a skin on top of the macaroons before you cook them. With the vegan ones, there's no need for that. They can go straight in the oven. And there we go. Next dish we're going to do is a truffle tortellini. So for that we make a pasta dough. We simply replace the egg yolk with white miso paste. Miso gives you the protein that you need, elasticness. So these are the golden gnocchi mushrooms from Reynolds. Nice product, give a bit of colour, touch of flavour to the dish. Literally take a minute or so to cook. So we're just going to finish it off with a bit of truffle.
The first dish I'm going to be making is a king oyster mushroom ceviche. These are really great kind of meat substitutes. Cut the tops off, peeling that skin off, it just helps all the flavours absorb into the mushroom. I've made a really hot miso broth, and then while the broth was boiling, took it off the heat and put the mushrooms in there, and that cooks the mushrooms. Ceviche is generally your kind of cucumber, red onion, tomatoes, chili and coriander. Putting it all in now and just letting it sit for 10 minutes. Scallops busy marinating. We've just drained them off, and all we're going to do is plate them, and there you go. A king oyster mushroom ceviche with smoked olive oil and yuzu pearls. I think attitudes are definitely changing. People are getting quite excited now about vegetables. Who knew a cauliflower would be so exciting? You know, with your cauliflower steaks and your purees and things like that, and a mushroom, making that the star of the dish. But I think it's about understanding and tasting vegetables. We need to educate our consumers. Just because it's not a piece of meat doesn't mean that it's not had the sort of love and care.
So the first dish is basically called All About the Pumpkin. We literally use every single part of this beautiful vegetable. I'm a ridiculous mental pioneer into wasting food. I hate it, it annoys me, it's my money going down the drain. So the pumpkin itself, we've cut into a little disc. The rest we'll make a puree with. Confit in olive oil, glazed in the skins, and then it's plated up really simply. I wanted to stay on the vegetable element for dessert and do everything vegan. It's pretty much all about this little beautiful parsnip. Roast these, cut them in half, scoop out the center. We dehydrate them very slightly to give them a skin so they become chewy. And we're going to be doing it with roasted hazelnuts, an almond cream and an passive ice cream. Looks crazy, tastes bloody delicious.
We can change to be completely plant-based, in the future. And we want to be the first restaurant to have done that. But it's definitely a gradual thing. It's about changing people's minds slowly. They see a treat or something exciting as an exquisite piece of meat. It's about replacing those luxuries. A really rare asparagus that you can only get with India to go. There's only a certain amount you can grow in the world. Those things become a luxury.
So we've got now 8 veggie breads that we'll have more by the end of the year. Our real focus is around celebrating vegetarian and veganism through quality products, so we're not ever going to try and do meat replacements.
I mean, it is tough for pizza because the biggest challenge for us is cheese. The aim on vegan cheese is to get one that is as near as possible to your conventional cheese, which is such a challenge.
We're still very much celebrate vegetables, and Indian cooking is such a fantastic vehicle for that. But it became very clear that it was really important that we did have that meat replacement element. We use a soy chicken product that's fantastic, so like chicken that so many people walk out not realising that they've had a vegan meal.
Thank you very much, and particularly to Reynolds for making this all possible. It's really interesting.
Since
I started the business 3 years ago, obviously the vegan market's grown hugely. Most of our guests aren't vegan, they're just coming for a really good curry, but they're really receptive to the fact that we are vegan. For me, it comes very naturally and I find it really exciting. I can imagine though, for someone who's used to working with meat and dairy, it is harder because it requires, I think, more work and skill to impart like great flavour into vegan food.
We've just launched a range of what we're calling vegan classics. So we've taken our classic range of sandwiches and translated them into vegan products. So we're seeing a really, really big increase into people being much more flexible with their eating. So it might be that they're not vegetarian or vegan throughout the week totally, but they'll certainly have days where they're changing their habits, and that day they might think, right, no gluten and no dairy for me that day.
Our plant-based tasting menu just got more and more popular. The way we consume meat around the world today is completely unsustainable. It's up to chefs and restaurants to use their innovation and creativity to give us things to eat that are just as delicious.